part 3 of this chapter. Now, before I go into this conversion concept and national income, let us recapitulate national income and domestic income, right? Now, see here, I said domestic income and national income. So what is the difference between these two? This is factor income, and this factor income has to be generated within the domestic territory of a country. And no matter who generates it, whether a resident or non-resident, right? And under this one I have said it is the factor income, and this factor income has to be generated by normal resident of a country. Normal resident of a country. And where it has to be generated? Outside, or it can be within the domestic territory of a country. Right? So this we have seen. So this is the first difference between domestic income and national income. Okay. Second one is domestic income, or we can say the income which is generated within the domestic territory of a country can be also called as NDP at factor cost. Okay, this is very important. Net domestic product at factor cost. So what is this now? Net domestic product at factor cost. Again, this is the factor income which is generated within the domestic territory of a country during 1 year is called as NDP at factor cost. So this will come later in aggregates concepts. Okay, so for the time being we will see here, so domestic income is this NDP at factor cost, and national income is NNP at factor cost. Okay, so what is this NNP at factor cost? Net national product at factor cost. So this is nothing but national income. Is that clear? You need to remember these two when we go for application level of this concept. Is that clear? Okay. Okay. Now, this is just the difference between domestic income and national income. And again, later I will be adding little more in it. Okay? Okay. Now, the most important part of this national income is about the conversion concept. Now see here, we have concepts like this: domestic and national concepts, gross and national concepts, market price and factor cost concept. First, we will see, okay, the meaning of these things, and also we will see about its conversion. So when I say conversion, see here, what we have to do is we have to convert this domestic concept into national concept. Like same, we have to convert this national concept into domestic concept. Like gross and net conversion we have to do here. Gross into net, net into gross. Market price and factor cost. Conversion of market price into factor cost and factor cost into market price. Now let us take first domestic and national. Now this we have studied in our last session. This is nothing but domestic income and national income. Okay, so we are done with the meaning of these two. Now, what we have to do is, we have to see their relationships. Okay, or we can say these two are interrelated. Right? Okay. Now, for conversion, there is a term called as NFIA. Okay. This one we use for converting domestic concepts into national as well as same national concepts into domestic. Now what is this here? It means, or we can say, N refers to net factor income from abroad. Okay, this is NFIA is net factor income earned from abroad, or we can straight away write like this, net factor income from abroad. This term will be used for conversion between these two concepts. Now let us go into the meaning of what is this net factor income from abroad. So we say NFIA is the factor income earned by resident of a country from abroad minus factor income which is paid to non-resident working within the domestic territory of a country. This is called as net factor income from abroad. Now see here, what is it? It is the factor income which is earned by resident of a country from abroad minus factor income which is paid to non-resident who are working within the domestic territory of a country is called as net factor income earned from abroad. Or straight away we can say it is the difference between this and this one. Is that clear? Okay? Or we will write like this. This one is the difference between factor income from abroad, which is earned from abroad, minus factor income which is paid to abroad. Factor income paid to abroad. Okay, now what does it see here? NFIA is factor income from abroad and factor income paid to abroad. We can say it is the difference between factor income from abroad and factor income which is paid to abroad. Okay, and most of the time we will use this one. Okay, when we go for application level of this, we will get problems in which you will get like this: factor income from abroad, factor income which is paid to abroad. Okay, so this one is used much. Is that clear? So this one is nothing but short form of this one. Right? Now see here again. What is this? NFIA is the net factor income earned from abroad. Okay, this term we will use to convert these two concepts. Okay? Okay. Now, next one is, we have to see in brief what are the components of NFIA, net factor income earned from abroad. So we have components of NFIA. So the first component is net compensation of employees. Compensation of employees. Right. And the second one is, we have net income from property. Net income from property and entrepreneurship. And the third one is net retained earnings. Net retained earnings of resident companies abroad. Resident companies abroad. Okay, so now just a brief description on the components of NFIA. What is it? The first one is net compensation of employees. So again, here, see here, compensation, right? So compensation is a factor income, right? One part of factor income. This is paid to whom? Employees, worker, labor. So I said before, compensation term is a very comprehensive term. Apart from wages, it includes so many things, right? All kinds of facilities which is given to the worker will come under compensation, right? Okay. Now what is this net compensation of employees? Now again, it is the difference between compensation which is received by a resident worker. Okay, compensation of employees, compensation which is received by resident workers who are temporarily employed abroad, and similar payments which is made to whom? Non-resident workers who are temporarily working within the domestic territory of a country. Okay, so this is nothing. See here, when I've written the meaning of this one, this meaning applies here. Okay, it is same. So compensation is a factor income. So again, earned by resident workers from abroad minus paid to non-resident workers which are located or which are working in the domestic territory of a country. So the difference between these two will make net compensation of employees. The first one. Second one is, what is this net income from property and entrepreneurship? Now see again, this is factor income. The income which is generated from property is a part of factor income. Likewise, entrepreneurship. Okay, so property we get what? We can see rent, right? And from entrepreneurship, we get what? Profit. Is that clear? Okay. Now see here. I've written here profit. So I'll add a few things here. This one profit is other than retained earnings of resident companies abroad. This one I'll put it here. Okay. This one, retained earning, other than retained earnings of the resident companies abroad, I'll put up here. So that means, other than this, okay, in profits. Now, just a brief description on profit. Profit, 3 types. In 3rd chapter, you will learn more about it. Okay. In profit, we have, first one is dividend. Okay. Second one is corporate profit tax. Third one is undistributed profit. Undistributed profit. And this one can be also called as distributed profit. Right. Okay. Now what is this dividend or distributed profits? The profits which is distributed among its shareholders are called as dividend. Second one is corporate profit tax. Say for example, if a company gets lots of profit, then on this government will impose tax. Okay, so they have to pay tax on profit to the government. That is called as corporate profit tax. Undistributed profit. What is this undistributed profit? This is retained by, say for example, firms, company, okay, for future use. Especially during emergency situations. What is the meaning of retained? Retained means not to share, or we can say to keep. And this retained profit, it is meant for their future use. Is that clear? Especially during emergency situation. Right. So see here, profit are of 3 types. Okay, in depth it's given in your 3rd chapter. Is that clear? Okay. Now see here, there is a word called retained earning in the 3rd one. This one I'll put up here also, I said. So see, net income from property, and property we get rent. Entrepreneurship, that is profit, other than this retained earnings of resident companies abroad. So retained earning is what? So again, it will come under this one, undistributed profit. Right? So other than this, whatever profits they get, that will come under this one. Now see here, what is this net income from property and entrepreneurship? The same meaning applies here. This meaning will apply here. So, it is the difference between income, which is in the form of what? Rent, profit, which is received by whom? Resident of a country, and similar payments which is made to the rest of the world, is called as net income from property and entrepreneurship. Okay, same here, the meaning. Net retained earnings of resident companies abroad. So what is this? It is the difference between retained earnings of resident companies which is located abroad and the retained earnings of non-resident companies which is located within the domestic territory of a country. Right? So that is the difference. That difference will make net retained earnings of resident companies abroad. Okay. Now see here, net factor income from abroad meaning as well as components of net factor income abroad. Right? Now we'll go for the conversion. So how to convert domestic concept into national. So I'll show you like this. Domestic and national. Okay. To convert this into national, we have to add plus NFIA will become then national concept. Okay, so see here again, NFIA is what? Difference between factor income from abroad and factor income paid to abroad. This one, okay. So domestic plus factor income from abroad minus factor income paid to abroad will make national concept. Likewise, when we want to convert national into domestic, go for NFIA. We have to deduct, okay, NFIA from national to get domestic concept. Is that clear? Okay. Now, you need to remember this. This is very important. As I've said in the beginning that this is a theoretical information, right? And this one, you will be applying it in your next chapter. Okay. So remember, please, domestic into national, add NFIA, and national into domestic, deduct NFIA. And NFIA is these two. Is that clear? Okay. So need to remember this meaning. Right. We are done with the first conversion concept, that is domestic and national. Next one is gross and net. Okay. Now what we have to do to convert gross into net as well as net into gross. Now for this, we have a term, okay, which is called as depreciation. It is called as depreciation, or depreciation in other words, it is CFC. CFC here, it is consumption of fixed capital. Consumption of fixed capital. Consumption of fixed capital. Okay, it means the same thing. Sometimes in problems you will get this concept, or sometimes they will write this one. Okay, so this is one concept. Now, before we go into this conversion, let us see what is this depreciation in brief, because this depreciation concept is given in your first and second chapter. It's given in first. Okay, so now see here, depreciation is what? Depreciation is, we can say, loss in the value of fixed assets. Okay, which are used in production process, and this can be due to normal wear and tear, can be due to accidental damage, okay, or due to expected obsolescence. Is that clear? Now what does this see here? Depreciation. Depreciation means loss in the value of fixed assets. Okay, especially fixed assets. Here I'll give you one example. We can say machinery. Machinery items which are used by the producer in the process of production. Okay, so when we use this fixed assets into production process, what will happen? The value of this machinery, okay, the value of this machinery will depreciate. Okay, or we can say loss. Now, this is because of when we use this machinery every day. So here see, I have written loss is due to normal wear and tear. Normal wear and tear means when we use such things, machinery every day. And what happens? Some kind of damage. We will see. Okay. And second one is maybe due to accidental cases. Say for example, fire. Right? Then expected obsolescence. When machinery becomes outdated. Okay. When there is a change in technology. Right? Now all these factors, okay? So because of these factors will cause loss in the value of fixed assets. Then we call it as depreciation. Got it? Now see here, this is just I have given you the meaning of depreciation. Okay? In your previous chapter, you will be learning more on this. Right? Now this depreciation is CFC. I need only this in this conversion things. Now, I said to convert these two concepts into each other, net to this net concept, we need to add CFC to make it this concept, gross. Okay, so net into gross, we have to add CFC or depreciation, and from gross, if you deduct CFC, we will get net. Is that clear? So like this, see here, gross minus CFC will get net concept, and net plus CFC, we will get gross concept. Got it? Okay. So, again you need to remember this one. Okay? Later, you will use this conversion thing in solving your problems. Numerical illustrations. Got it? Okay. So, see, brief. Domestic international, we are using NFIA, right? So, convert domestic international, we need to add NFIA to make it national. And national into domestic, we need to deduct NFIA to come to this. Second one is gross and net. Gross and net difference is this one, depreciation. So, to gross, convert it into net. What we have to do? We have to deduct CFC from gross to get net. And to net, if we add CFC, we will get gross concept. Clear to you? Okay. Now we will study about market price and factor cost concept. Okay. And in this, which term is used to convert this one into this, as well as factor cost into market price. Before we go into this one, we will see what is this market price as well as factor cost. Now, what is this factor cost here? Factor cost, cost which is incurred on factors of production, right? By whom? By the producer. So this cost is incurred by the producer, right? For making use of factors of production in the process of production. So this is called as factor cost. And what is this market price? Market price is the market value of goods and services. Value of goods and services. Or we can say amount paid by whom? Buyer. Right? So buyers and here producer. Right? Okay. Now see here, market price and factor cost concept. There is no difference between these two concepts in two-sector economy. Again, this sectors of economy is given in your previous chapter. Okay. So, I said there is no difference between market price and factor cost concept in two-sector economy, which comprises of only two sectors. One is producer and second one is household. This is two-sector economy. But the difference between these two will come in three-sector economy. Three-sector economy comprises of producer, household, and government sector. When we consider government sector, okay, then we will find the difference between these two. Now see here, when we consider this one, right? Now what this government does here? Government imposes tax, right? Government imposes tax on what? Goods and services. On goods and services. The tax on goods and services is called as indirect tax. Indirect tax, right? So government will impose indirect tax on goods and services. Then what will happen? Because of this indirect tax, or we can say, if the government is imposing this indirect tax on goods and services, this will lead to increase in the price of goods and services, right? It will raise the market price of goods and services. Goods and services will become costly. But government also offers this one, subsidy in the process of production to producer, right? Now, if subsidy is given, then what will happen to the market price of goods and services? It will reduce. Subsidy will reduce the market price of goods and services. Now see here, I said the difference between these two will come when we consider this one, government sector, which is in three-sector economy. So see here, we are getting the first one is indirect tax and second one is subsidy here. Okay? Now, market price of goods and services. Market price of goods and services is raised due to what? Due to indirect taxes, and it is lowered due to what? Subsidy. Now these two things, indirect taxes and subsidy, okay, are the two components of NIT, net indirect tax. This is important. Net indirect tax. So, what is this net indirect tax? It is the difference between indirect taxes and subsidy. Clear? Okay. Now, see here. A very simple example. Suppose I have a factory in which I'm doing cloth production. Okay? Now, for this cloth production, I'm using factor services, or we can say factors of production. We will take up three factors of production: land, labor, capital. Okay? So I'm using these three factors of production for cloth production. And for land, factor income is rent, I have to pay, labor, wages I have to pay, capital. Say for example, taken loan, capital, we have to pay interest. Now, this one is the expenditure, right? This is what? This is the expenditure, which is incurred by me, producer, right? On the production of clothes. Right? Now, this is nothing but, I said, it is the factor cost. This is what? This is the factor cost. This will come as a factor cost. Now, take example for producing one cloth. Okay. My factor cost is this much. Now on this, government will impose indirect tax. Okay, so we can indirect tax, example 1, sales tax. Say for example, imposing indirect tax around say 50. Right? So now see here what this indirect tax will do. It will increase the price of this one, cloth. Right? Is that clear? Okay. So how much it has become now? For one cloth, 150. So market price of this cloth has increased due to indirect tax. Not only this, government will also offer subsidy, right? Subsidy. So what this subsidy will do? It will reduce the price of cloth. Say for example, subsidy is 10. So how much now? 150. 10 will be 140. What is this now? See here, factor cost plus indirect tax minus subsidy. If we do, we will get market price. And this is nothing but the market price. Is that clear? Okay. Now, very simple. I will show you here this conversion thing. We'll write here like this. See here, this is market price and this is factor cost. So what we have done, factor cost plus indirect taxes minus subsidy. Now, before going into this one, I'll show you this one. NIT. What is this? I said net indirect tax. So this is, to calculate this NIT, we have to consider this one. Indirect tax minus subsidy. This is the formula to calculate NIT. Indirect tax minus subsidy. Is that clear? Now under this what we have done, see here, factor cost. When we convert this one into this one, we have to add NIT. We have to add NIT. Okay, so add NIT, this one, indirect tax minus subsidy. This one we have to do. And from market price to factor cost, to convert this market price into factor cost, we have to do minus NIT. So here, this is positive, NIT minus NIT. Very simple. So what we have to do, from market price, if we deduct, this minus NIT is minus indirect tax plus subsidy. If we do, we will get factor cost. So minus NIT is minus IT plus subsidy. We will get factor cost. Got it? Now, you need to remember this formula for your application part. This is very important. I repeat again, NIT is what? Net indirect taxes. What is this net indirect taxes? It is the difference between indirect tax and subsidy. Okay, now, when we have to convert MP into FC, what we have to do? We have to deduct NIT. So what is this? Minus IT plus subsidy to get FC. And then to convert FC into MP, we have to do plus NIT. So plus NIT is the indirect tax minus subsidy. Is that clear? Okay. So this is how conversion takes place in these concepts of national income. So in the beginning, I said this one is theoretical in nature, right? In this chapter, we have to see the theoretical portion, description of such things. And then in fourth chapter, we will be using it. Clear to you? Right. Okay. So, a brief conversion of these concepts. See here, the first one is domestic and national. Right? So, for this, we have NFIA, net factor income from abroad. To domestic, if we add NFIA, we get national concept. And from national concept, if we deduct NFIA, we will get domestic concept. Second one is net and gross. Now we have depreciation here, which makes difference in these two. Now net, when we add CFC to net or depreciation to net, we get gross. And when we deduct minus CFC or depreciation from gross, we get net. Then we have market price and factor cost concept. For this, we have NIT, net indirect tax. So when we deduct minus NIT, so minus NIT means minus IT plus subsidy, we get this concept. And from factor cost to MP, we need to add NIT, which is indirect tax plus, indirect tax minus subsidy. Okay? So if you remember only this much, it is enough. Okay, now we are done with this conversion concept. Now next one, we will see aggregates of national income. Aggregates of national income or concepts, okay, of national income. Now what I will do is, see here, I will divide the aggregates or concepts into two. The first one we will take up, see here, domestic concept and then national concept. Okay, under this domestic concept, the first one will be GDP. Second one is NDP. And these two, we can say market price. And third one is factor cost, that is GDP, and fourth one is NDP. These two, factor cost. So I said, see here, domestic, right? This is what? Domestic. Okay, see here, what is the full form of this one? This is gross domestic product at market price, net domestic product at market price, gross domestic product at factor cost, net domestic product at factor cost. So this one, D domestic, same. Is that clear? Okay, one thing. And under national, we have GNP. Second one is NNP. These two again, market price. Third one is, we have GNP. Fourth one is NNP, factor cost. All this national. See here, GNP, gross national product at market price. This is net national product at market price, gross national product at factor cost, and net national product at factor cost. Right? Okay. Now what we will do here is, first we have to study about the meaning of each concept. Then we will see the interrelationship between these concepts. Is that clear? And finally, we will go for some application level of these concepts. That is, applying the theoretical knowledge of conversion information into this one. We will see the meaning of these each concepts of national income. Okay, so the first one is, this entire is the domestic concept, right? So GDP at market price, NDP at market price, gross domestic product at market price, net domestic product at market price. What is the meaning of this one now? It means market price, right? Market value of goods and services. So it is the sum total of market value of goods and services. See here, it is written here domestic. This is a domestic concept, right? And this goods and services, it has to be produced in the domestic territory of a country during 1 year, is called as gross domestic product at market price. Is that clear? Okay. Now see here. This and this, we have to see what is the difference between these two. Now see here, domestic concept, product, market price. This much is same. Now here it is gross and this is net, right? So remember, I said to convert these things into each other, what we have to use? We have to use depreciation. Is that clear? So again here, I'm saying, see, what is the difference between these two? Depreciation. So net into gross, net plus CFC, then this will come. Net domestic product at market price. CFC is gross, right? Instead of this one, I will write here NDP at market price plus CFC is equal to gross. See here. Okay. Now similarly, we'll go for this one. So here gross, this is one thing, and the second, gross minus CFC will become net. So we will take up GDP at MP, GDP at MP minus CFC, we will get NDP at MP. Is that clear? First one. So this one, okay. Now next one is GDP at factor cost, NDP at factor cost, right? So this is a factor cost concept. So what is the meaning of gross domestic product at factor cost? So it is the total of, this is factor cost, right? So total of factor incomes, factor cost, I've said again and again, this is incurred on the process of production in which we use factor or factors of production, right? Now see here, GDP at factor cost is what? Sum total of factor incomes, again here domestic concept, which is generated in the domestic territory of a country during 1 year is called as GDP at factor cost. Now we have to see the difference between these two, this one and this. Only difference is net and gross. Rest are same. So same thing will come, right? So just one example I will show you, the first one. So we will see here. So this entire thing into this one, if we have to convert, then GDP at factor cost, what we have to do, minus CFC, you will get NDP at factor cost. Is that clear? Same opposite. You have to go for it. Right. Okay. So this one. Now we go for national concept here. See here. This is national. So this is what? Gross national product at market price. Again, this is national concept, national concept, national concept. Right? Okay. Now, we will see what is this gross national product at market price. We will take this one to get the meaning of that one. Simple meaning of GNP at market price. We will use this one. Now, here, GNP at market price is equal to GDP at market price. What we have to do now here? What is the difference between these two? We want to get this one, right? By using this one. So see here, gross, same. This is national concept and this is domestic concept. And rest are same. Right? So what we have to do? We have to convert these two. This one into this one. So what we have to do here? Now, I said domestic into national, we have to add NFIA. Right? So what is it now? See here. So if we are adding this one, NFIA, to this concept, then we will get this one. Is that clear? So we have studied about GDP at MP, meaning, and on this, if you add NFIA, you will get this one. Clear? Okay. Now see here, these two concept, gross and net, difference is this much. Difference is this only. So again, what we have to use here? Depreciation, right? So see here, we go like this. In any way you can go, NNP at market price plus CFC. If you do, you will get gross NP, gross national product at market price. Similarly in this case too, same, right? Okay. Third one, GNP at factor cost. These two, okay? GNP at factor cost. Again, we will use that one. So GNP at factor cost is, say for example, the third one, if we go GDP at factor cost. Now what is the difference between these two? Again, factor cost, same. National, domestic, right? So D into N we have to do. Rest are same. So again, D into N, what we have to do? Plus NFIA. You do it. You will get this concept, GNP at factor cost. So we know the meaning of GDP at factor cost, and if we add NFIA to it, we will get GNP at factor cost. And then difference between these two. What is it? Only one. That is G and N, gross and net. That is depreciation, right? So net plus depreciation. So NNP at factor cost plus depreciation, you do it, you will get gross national product at factor cost. Same wise opposite here. Is that clear? So this is simple, right? So to know the meaning of this one and to know the difference between these concepts, the first thing what we have done is we have used domestic concepts to get the meaning of this one. And then we have applied here the conversion portion of such concepts. Is that clear to you? Right? Okay. So we are done here now with the concepts of national, aggregates of national income. Now, let us do some practice work here. Okay. By taking all these concepts, and we will do some conversions so that when you go into the application part of your next chapter, it will become easier for you to solve any problems. Now, we will do some few conversion exercises here, okay? Now, we will choose few concepts and we will go for conversion here. Let me choose here first this one. GDP at MP into this one. These two concepts, okay? So now see here, what I will do is I want to convert this one into this one. Now how to do conversion information you have to use here. So see, GDP at MP. Now we have to see what are the things that needs conversion here. G and N. We have to convert, right? This also. D, domestic into national. Market price into factor cost. So entire thing we have to convert it. Now for G into N, that is gross into net, what we have to use? CFC, right? So we need to add or deduct gross into. We have to deduct CFC. Then it will become what? NDP at market price. This one, right? So see here, from gross, if we deduct CFC, we will get, then this will change. It will become N, right? So NDP at market price. This concept, it came. Next one. Then D into N, domestic into national. We have to do plus NFIA. What it has become now? NNP at market price. It has become this. Right? Next one, market price into factor cost. So what we have to do here? Minus NIT. If you do this, then see here, NNP at factor cost, it came. Right here, very simple. Similarly, you can go for, say for example, this one, factor cost into this one, you will see. Okay, so we have to convert this one into that one. So again, GDP at factor cost, right? G and G same, and D and N, domestic international, plus NFIA, right? Then what we have to convert? Factor cost into MP. In this, what we have done? MP into factor cost. So factor cost into MP, what we have to do? Plus NIT. Then get this one. Very simple. Right? Okay. Then we have, you take any concept, say for example, NDP at factor cost and GNP at market price. This and this, we will do it. Or you can take any. Okay, so see here, NDP at factor cost, to convert it into this one, net, gross, net we have to add CFC, depreciation, domestic we have to add NFIA, then factor cost into market price plus NIT. So everything has changed right here. So this will be your GNP at market price. And the final one, last one. Okay, we go for NDP at market price here. NDP at market price. You choose any from this one. So we go for this concept. So again, net, gross, net plus CFC, gross, D plus N, D plus N, domestic into national, we have plus NFIA, right? And then what we have to change here, MP into factor cost. So MP into factor cost, we have to do minus NIT. NIT, then we are getting this GNP at market price. Similarly, you can take from here and then go for conversion into this one. So only one thing, we will take up this one. NNP at market price. So this one, we have to change it into, say for example, this concept. Okay, we want this one. So N into gross, what we have to do? Plus CFC, net plus CFC gross, then national into domestic. So national into domestic, what we have to do? Minus NFIA. Then we go for market price and factor cost. So market price into factor cost. What we have to do? Minus NIT. We will get this one. NNP at market price. Is that clear? Okay, now we are done with this application exercises of conversion of these concepts, right? Now beginning, I've said about the difference between national and domestic concept. So we need to add one more thing here. Third difference is NFIA, right? So when we add this NFIA to domestic, we get national. And when we deduct NFIA from national, we get domestic. So that is the third difference between these two. Right? Okay. Now, bit recapitulation of what we have done so far. The first one was difference we have studied between domestic and national. Second one was conversion things, conversion concepts, in which we have studied about three concepts. Conversion. The first one, domestic and national. For that we require NFIA, right? And second one was gross and net. We use depreciation here to convert these two concepts. And third one, market price and factor cost. We use NIT, that is net indirect tax, for their conversion. Followed by, we have also studied about concepts of national income or aggregates of national income, their meanings and interrelationship between these concepts, right? Then followed by this exercise of converting these concepts into another concepts of national income.